Hello, in this video, I'm going to talk about the issue of publication bias. So the problem in this case is that only the most interesting novel results are published. Uninteresting status quo results, so uninteresting results that support what we already know, tend to not be published. Um, so um, Publication bias is when the outcome of the study influences whether the study will be published or not. So, meaning that depending on whether the results are interesting, that is often what will determine whether whether that article is published. So, let's have an example here. If we look at this picture, there are 100 little squares here. Now, this represents 100 studies that are looking to answer the same exact question. Okay, now you'll notice 99 are red and only one is black. So in our example of 100 studies, 99 came back and said, that wasn't the answer to the question, or we didn't get meaningful results, or no, this medication is not effective, or whatever it was. These were not meaningful findings. It just sort of supported what we already know, and they weren't very interesting. Then this one out of 100 came back and said, yes, this is the answer to the question, or yes, this medication works, or yes, this is new and interesting information. So the problem is that 99 out of 100 said no, and one said yes. But that one that said yes is far more likely to be published than any of these other 99. That's for a couple reasons. First is, as the researcher, you're not likely to write up and spend all that time and effort preparing a submission to send to a journal to be published when it wasn't interesting, and it's not likely that the journal is going to want to publish it. It's a lot of time and effort on the researcher's part. And it's maybe not worthwhile if you're not expecting that the journal is going to want to publish the results. And then, even if the researcher does write up the paper and submit it for publication, the journal is not going to be as inclined to publish these kind of uninteresting status quo results, because as somebody who's reading these journals, nobody wants to pick up a journal, a peer-reviewed journal, and just have it be full of not interesting studies, things that confirm things we already know. When we're reading the research, we want to pick up that journal and learn something new, find out something that we didn't know before. So the journal is going to be less inclined to publish these 99 studies that said no compared to the one that said, yes, this was interesting and new. So that creates a bias in the literature. So, like, let's say you have a question and you're looking to the research literature to answer your question. And when you look, maybe you find, let's say, 3 of these articles that say no and the one article that says yes. That gives a very imbalanced view of what actually has been found in research. Because when you're looking at what has been published and what's available, you would never know that there were 99 studies that said, no, that's not the right answer. You would never know any of these even existed because they didn't get published. You only know what you find. So maybe a couple of these got published, and maybe that one did. And so then you're left with this imbalanced view of, oh, one said no and 3 said yes. And now you're basing your decision off of that, as opposed to realizing one said yes and 99 said no. So maybe we shouldn't really consider that one that is an anomaly and had different results from the rest. And so that's the issue with publication bias. And there isn't a great solution. The only solution here would be if all studies got written up and published. But from the perspective of somebody who's trying to read and use that research, that can make it really difficult to find what is new and interesting and to be able to learn new things. It makes it very difficult and not very interesting if you pick up a journal and it's all just kind of status quo information. So there isn't a great solution here. But when you are looking to the literature, you need to kind of keep this in mind. Realize that if some studies say yes and some say no, consider that there might be a lot more studies that said no, that just didn't get published because they weren't interesting and they didn't say yes. So it wasn't interesting enough to publish. So just always kind of keep that in mind and don't give that one that said yes more weight than it deserves, because you need to realize that there are a whole bunch of others that said no, that just didn't get published. And so you're not seeing it. All right. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you have a great day.